Hello, guys. Welcome in. We're going to be getting started here in just a few minutes. I asked you guys to turn your cameras on. Go ahead and drop your name and where you're from in the comments, and we're going to get started here in just a few minutes. Hi, guys. Welcome in. We're going to be getting started here in just a few minutes. For you early birds, thank you so much for getting here early. Carol, thank you for having your camera on. Janice, thank you for your camera on. Put in the chat, where are you guys all from? Carol, you're semi-retired. Okay, from South Carolina. Okay, that's on my bucket list of places to go. So super exciting. Jesse, welcome, welcome. Very excited to see you guys here today. We're going to be diving into things here in just a few minutes, but I always appreciate the early birds here. So we're going to do a Q&A at the very end. So as we're going through the presentation, please plug your questions in. You'll probably hear me repeat some of this as we get closer to more people joining at the start of the hour. But live Q&A at the very end. We're going to stay muted while we're going through the presentation, and then at the end we'll unmute and be able to have those live questions going on. So it's very exciting tonight. We're almost to the weekend. It's summertime. Exciting. And you guys can hear me okay. Can someone put either thumbs up or one in the chat letting me know that the audio is working and you can see my screen? Josh, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay. Wonderful. Jesse, perfect. Carol, I think you're talking, but everyone's muted during the presentation, and then I'll unmute. But if you want to type in the chat, Bonnie, thumbs up for hearing me. Perfect. Thank you so much for that. All right, just a couple more minutes to go here. If you haven't already done so, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know your name and where you're from, and if you currently have anything in place right now for estate planning, like a will or trust. That's what we're here for today. So hopefully you're in the right spot. But for those of you just joining, please do turn your cameras on. We're going to do live Q&A at the very end, and there's going to be a lot of impactful information. So we're just about one more minute out. We're going to wait for some of these stragglers to get in here, and then we're going to get going. All right. So I think we're all set up. No technical difficulties this week. I'm loving it so far. Knock on wood, we keep it that way. All right. Bonnie, you're from Huntsville, Alabama. Welcome. Carol, you said I'm having trouble understanding you at times. Um, is anyone else hearing choppy audio, or is it just Carol? Audio is fine on Josh. Janice, can you hear audio okay? I saw you say, yeah, I think. Thumbs up, yes. Okay. All right. Choppy audio from Mary. Okay. Um, Sometimes it could be computer settings, but hopefully we can get that adjusted. I'm going to try to move my microphone a little bit closer here and see if that helps. All right, let's try that a little bit. A little bit better or not so much? Not much difference. All right. We're gonna wing it. This is gonna be recorded, guys, so you can come back and watch the replay. But welcome in everybody. I appreciate you being here tonight. I'm excited because we're gonna go over a lot of information. Hopefully it's gonna provide you guys a lot of value. And I'll be answering questions at the end. And I know a lot of you have a ton of questions. I saw some of them coming in early in text messages. So it's very, very exciting. All right, so before we get started, two quick things I need from everybody here so that I can make this as valuable as possible for you guys. First, cameras on. I know nobody wants to show their hot mess hairdos, but turn your cameras on. You guys can see me. I want to be able to see you and know who I'm speaking to. And it makes this so much more interactive and honestly so much more valuable for everybody. So thank you already, Carol and Janice, for having your cameras on. If you absolutely can't have your camera on, that's okay, but it just kind of helps create a better experience. Second thing I do ask is that use the chat. While we're going through the presentation, we're going to stay on mute. That way you guys can all hear me. And then at the end, I'll open it up for questions. But throughout it, use the chat. I want you asking questions as they're coming in. And then I'll circle back and answer them at the very end. I want to know your thoughts. I want you responding as we go. So if you see something that surprises you, say it in the chat. If you have a question, don't wait till the end, type it in there and we'll answer them all at the end. The more engaged you guys are, the more I can tailor this experience, especially for each of you guys that are currently here live. So just one more last quick check because I made a couple of mic changes here. Can you guys all hear me? Can you put a 1 in the chat? Let me know that you can hear me. Sounds good. Catherine, you live in Florida. Welcome. And you got nothing in place. Okay, welcome, Catherine. All right, Bonnie, you can hear me? Okay. If there's any audio issues for some of you guys, we can always set up a follow-up, but hopefully we'll be moving forward here along. All right, so here's what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to walk you through what estate planning is and show you guys exactly how to use the Revocable Living Trust to protect your family and keep them out of probate. And by the end, you guys are going to know whether or not this is something for you and if it makes sense. So, just so I know who I'm speaking to, drop a 1 in the comments if you're here to just learn about estate planning. Drop a 2 if you're looking to learn about estate planning, but also set something up to protect your family and keep them out of the courts and you guys in control. Mary, you're looking to learn. Perfect. You're in the right place. Hopefully, you're going to get a lot of value from this. Josh, you're looking for both learning and setting something up. Wonderful, wonderful. Jasmine, same for you. Wonderful. All right, guys, let's go ahead and dive into this. Can you all see my screen? The hot pink on your screen? Stop waiting, start protecting. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So when you guys pass away, there's so much more that your family goes through than just grief. I am Jessica Wade. I am with YWait Wealth Management, and I'm so glad that you guys carved out this time because what we're going to cover today could be one of the most important financial decisions that you guys ever look at and make for your family. Today, we're going to be talking about estate planning and the Revocable Living Trust. What it is, why you need one, how it works, how you can get one done easily and affordably, and all from the comfort of your home. No legal jargon, no fluff. By the end of the session, you're going to know exactly what to do next. Okay, so I want to start with a question that I need you guys all to really sit with. What would happen to your home or your bank accounts or your investments if something happened to you tomorrow? Who would step in? Who would pay the bills? Who would make sure the kids are taken care of? Would it be a stranger in a courtroom making those decisions? or would it be you? Most people don't think about this until it's too late. And I get it. Nobody wants to think about the worst case scenarios. But here's the truth. Estate planning isn't about death. It's about love. It's about making sure the people who matter most are protected no matter what. And that's exactly what we're going to help you do today. Here's the part that surprises most people. And if it surprises you, drop a 1 in the comments. Most folks assume that when you pass away, their family automatically gets everything. The spouse gets the house, the kids get the savings. It all just transfers over. That's not what actually happens without a proper plan. Without the right documents, your estate goes through something called probate, a public court supervised process where a judge decides who gets what and when. It's slow, it's expensive, and it strips your family of all the privacy all at the hardest times of their life. And it's more common than you think. 56% of Americans, more than half, have absolutely no estate documents in place at all. No will, no trust, nothing. 68% have no will. If something happened to you today, where would your family stand? If you have nothing in place, type a 0 in the chat. If you have at least a will, type a W. Let's see what everybody's got out there. Josh, you don't have anything in place? Okay. Bonnie, you've got a will. Okay. Carol, a will. Fantastic. We're going to dive into that so you guys understand what a will means versus the difference of a trust. Who else out there? Anybody else have a will or nothing in place? Catherine, you got a will and you're in New York. Okay. I'm sure you know New York has some pretty strict rules. So we'll dive into each of that. All right, guys. So let's talk about what estate planning actually is, because despite common misconception, it's not just about a document. It's a system. Estate planning is the process of deciding in advance who gets your assets, who makes the decisions if you can't, and how to protect your family from unnecessary costs, delays, and chaos. And here's what I really need you to hear. This is not just for the wealthy. If you own a home or have a bank account or have children or healthcare preferences, you have something worth protecting. Estate planning lets you direct who receives your assets, designates who makes financial and medical decisions if you're incapacitated, minimizes your court costs and delays, and protects your minor children. And it keeps your financial affairs completely private. The right plan means your wishes are honored, not a judge's best guess or the standardized state rules. So let's talk about a complete estate plan and what that's made up of. A complete estate plan is 6 different parts that all work together. Think of it kind of like a puzzle. You need every single piece. So within your trust, you're going to be looking at the last will and testament. This directs your assets and names guardians for your minor children. This is the only document that can name guardians. So if you have kids, this is critical. Then you have the Revocable Living Trust. This is the centerpiece. This holds all your assets and allows your families to completely skip probate. And we'll spend a lot more time on this coming up here. Then you've got the pour over will. It's a safety net that catches everything outside the trust and directs it all back into it at death. You also have the durable power of attorney. This gives someone you trust the authority to manage your finances if you're incapacitated. You also have the healthcare power of attorney. This designates who makes medical decisions for you on your behalf if you can't. And then you've got the living will and advance directive. These are documents where you lay out your exact wishes for your end of life medical care in your own words. All 6 of these work together. If you miss one, there's a gap in your plan. So let's talk about the star of the show, the Revocable Living Trust. The simplest way to think about it. is that if your family could receive everything you own without ever stepping foot in the courthouse, that's exactly what the Revocable Living Trust does. It's a legal document that you create during your lifetime. You transfer your assets, like your home, your accounts, your property, into the trust. You remain in complete control as you are your own trustee while you're alive. You can add to it, you can change it, you can cancel it anytime that you want. Here's where it gets powerful. When you pass away or become incapacitated, your successor, trustee, and power of attorneys step in immediately. No court, no delays, and no public record. Your family gets what you intended, the way you intended it, when they need it most. The trust that we offer at YWait is attorney drafted in all 50 states. So no matter where you're at, you're able to get the attorney drafted documents specific to your state and county rules. So let's talk about the 3 rules. Inside every living trust, there are 3 rules that each have their own unique role, and we'll get into each one of them. First, you've got the guarantor. That's you. So you create the trust, you fund it, and you set the rules. During your lifetime, you're your own trustee. So nothing changes about how you manage your money day to day. Everything there stays the same. Then you have the trustee. That's also you for now. While you're alive and well, you manage everything exactly as you always have. But you name a successor trustee, a trusted person or institute who will step in. And if you become incapacitated or pass away, they don't need any court approvals. There's no delays. They simply pick up and carry out your instructions. Then you have the beneficiary. During your lifetime, you and your loved ones are the beneficiary. While you're alive, you're the primary beneficiary. You enjoy all your assets to the fullest. But after you pass away, you name beneficiaries who receive everything according to your exact instructions. So the bottom line is that you stay in complete control your entire lifetime. The trust activates for your family only when they need it most. All right, so let me paint a picture for you of what happens when there is no trust. When you die with only a will. So yes, I know some of you mentioned you have a will, Bonnie and Carol and Catherine. If you guys pass away and you only have a will or nothing at all, your estate will go through probate. And here's what that actually means for your family. It's expensive. Probate typically costs between 3 to 7% of your entire estate value, total estate value in attorney fees and court fees and executor fees. So as an example, if you have a home and an estate totaling about 500,000, that would be up to 35,000 gone just in fees before your family gets to see a single dollar. It's also very slow. The average probate takes between 6 to 24 months. If you have a complex estate, like a blended family or multiple properties, it can take years. So your family cannot access any of your accounts or sell your property during this time. It's also very public. Every filing becomes public court record. Anyone can look up what you own, who you left it to, and how much everything was worth. Your private financial life gets completely exposed. You own property in multiple states, that's a whole nother story. Your family is going to have to open probate in every single one of those states that you have a property in. So it just racks up the cost. A properly funded revocable living trust will skip all of that, every single piece of it. So people ask me all the time, do I need a will or do I need a trust? Or is a will enough? The honest answer, guys, is that you need both, but they both do very different jobs. So a will, it is going to go through probate. A trust is not. A will is public record. A trust is completely private. A will does nothing for you while you're alive. The trust protects you during incapacitation or incapacity. And a will require a separate probate in every state that you own property, where the trust will handle that all in one document. Now, the one thing that a will does that a trust cannot is name guardians for your minor children. So that's why we always pair a trust with a pour over will. And your pour over will inside your trust stays private. No probate, and it skips all those steps. So think of the trust kind of as your primary vehicle, and the will is your safety net. Together, they complete an airtight plan. Keep that in mind as you're kind of going through. The will, the best way to kind of explain that too is that it's, without it being inside of a trust, it's more like a list of your wishes. It's not a legal document unless it's inside the trust. So once you have a trust set up, you need to fund it. What that means is that you actually move your assets into the trust. An unfunded trust is just a piece of paper. It provides you guys zero protection. So what do you put inside that trust? Inside the trust, you're going to put things like your home, your real estate, and you're going to take the retitling the deeds and put it into the trust's name. That way it avoids probate. Bank accounts, things like checking accounts, savings accounts, same thing. You're going to attach a letter to your bank account that affords it to the trust so that it avoids probate. Investment and brokerage accounts, those also go into the trust's name. Business interests and valuable personal property, you're going to notate those inside the trust. Out of state properties, this one is especially important to make sure that you guys avoid that multi-state probate. But there are some things that you guys are going to keep out of the trust and use beneficiary designations instead for specific reasons. Retirement accounts, things like your 401k, your IRA, 403b, 457s, TSP accounts, all of those, if you put that into the trust, transferring them directly in will trigger a taxable distribution. And you don't want that. You want to designate a beneficiary so that when you pass, your beneficiary will have the 10-year pay down clause so that they can work on paying the taxes over 10 years instead of having to do it in one lump sum. Life insurance is kind of a either or. Most of the time for a life insurance policy, you would use beneficiaries and designate if it's an adult receiving the funds. If it's a minor, or you want to do specific things with the life insurance policy and you want to divvy it out in a specific way to maybe multiple people, you would put it in the trust. But normally you would put it right into the beneficiary's name so that they get access to it extremely quick and are able to execute the insurance check and everything like that. Then you've got health savings accounts. So just like retirement accounts, these are triple tax savings accounts. You do not want to put them in the trust because same concept, it's going to trigger that taxable distribution and it negates the benefits of a HSA account. Guys, the most common mistake that I see is that someone creates their trust, they feel good about it, and then they never move their assets into it. And the trust sits empty. Their estate will go through probate anyway. So don't let that be you. Funding the trust is not optional. Funding your trust is the trust. Okay, so let me save you all some time here, and we're going to talk about the 5 most common estate planning mistakes and how every single one of them is completely preventable. So mistake number 1, not creating a plan at all. I'll do it later. I'm sure you guys have said that to yourselves multiple times. Later becomes never. And when something happens, your family pays the price. Any plan is better than no plan. Like I said, the will is better than nothing because at least it's a wish list that you're guiding the courts on how you want things to be laid out. Most of the time, they're still going to go on the interstate laws, but they'll use your will as a guide for them. Mistake number 2 is creating a trust and never funding it. This is the most expensive mistake, guys. You pay for the trust, you feel protected, and then none of your assets are actually in it, and then you go through probate. And then you're also paying probate fees. So fund the trust. Don't let this be a mistake that you have. Mistake number 3, outdated beneficiary designations. Oh my goodness, I see this all the time in our retirement practice. Your IRA and your life insurance might still have an ex-spouse or an old friend or an acquaintance from back in the day when they were close to you and now they're not. Beneficiary designations override your will. So check them every couple of years. Any major life event, make sure you're updating your beneficiary designations. 3 should never occur. All of them should never occur, but 3 is kind of the biggest one. Mistake number 4 is putting retirement accounts directly into the trust. Unfortunately, people that go through like an attorney or those DIY softwares, you end up having to do your funding on your own and you don't know how to do that properly. And they make the mistake of putting retirement accounts inside of them. And then that triggers an immediate taxable distribution that you can't take back. So use the beneficiary designations for all retirement accounts instead. Mistake number 5 is never updating the plan. Guys, life is going to change. I'm a walking billboard of an example. You have marriage, divorce, new children, property, new property. Your plan needs to reflect your current life. So review it every 2 to 5 years or after any major life event. The really good news here, guys, is that every single one of these is completely avoidable. And that's what we're here today for. So before we move on, I do want to take a personal moment here so you guys can kind of know who I am and why I do this. I built YWait Wealth Management because I watched families, good, hardworking, loving families, get blindsided in retirement. Not just because their retirement income isn't structured to help them last long, but then when they experience a loss of life, everything gets wiped out from their original plan. So the biggest issue is that it's not that you don't care and they're not preparing themselves. It's because they simply just didn't have a plan in place. So I started my retirement firm and I helped set my mission to help people in retirement and make sure that they stay a successful, enjoyable retirement plan. Fast forward to August of 2023, and my mom suddenly passed before her 60th birthday. We didn't see it coming. It landed me and my 3 siblings in probate. It was very expensive, very long, and very, very stressful. And when the unexpected happens, we were left navigating the court systems and finding ourselves fighting over assets and losing money to fees all at the worst possible time. It broke my heart. We were grieving my mom and we were battling the courts. And my mom thought she had time. She was planning her Barbie 60th birthday party. Like they're super healthy RN traveling nurse. So it hit us all out of nowhere. So after that happened, I decided to do something about it to make sure that my clients don't experience what me and my family went through. So I partnered with a company and I added estate planning documents to my practice so that we can provide affordable attorney drafted documents to help our clients avoid the same pain mistaking process that my family went through. My mission is pretty simple. Protecting your family should not be complicated, guys. It shouldn't be expensive and it shouldn't be scary. I want to take the overwhelm completely out of estate planning and put the power back where it belongs, which is in your hands. A plan today will bring you guys peace tomorrow, and a little bit of time now will protect your family always. Your love today will secure their future, and it's one of the main reasons why I do the work that I do. So that's why I built YWait. All right. Now let's dive into your guys' options because when it comes to estate planning, you guys really have 5 options. And I don't know if anybody's ever really broke these down for you. Each one impacts your family very differently. And I want to walk you through this so that you can see exactly what your choices are and what to choose between. So let's go through column by column. Column 1 is no plan. We also call this the government's plan. So no plan at all. This is when your family is going to go through probate. The court process takes over when you have no legal direction in place. They're going to just go off of the standard interstate laws. We're talking about 12 to 24 months of court involvement. Your estate becomes public record. Anyone can see what you owned, who gets it, and the cost. So everything related to probate is absorbently expensive. You're going to go from anywhere $15,000 to $30,000 or more in court fees and attorney fees. It's usually about 3 to 7% of your estate value on top of the normal probate proceedings. So it's not a plan, guys. That's leaving your family a mess to clean up. The second option here would be a will, which a will is better than nothing, guys. But here's what most people don't realize. A will still goes through probate. It doesn't avoid it. It actually guarantees it. So your family still deals with the courts. They still wait 9 to 18 months. It's still public record, including that will that you drafted becomes public record. So you're going to spend about $1,000 for the will to get drafted properly, and then another 2 to 4% of your estate value when it goes through probate. A will tells the courts what you want. A trust allows you to stay out of the courts entirely. So that's the biggest difference here. So it's good that you at least have some wishes laid out, but you really want to evaluate, do you want that privacy? Do you want to avoid that probate? A will is not going to be enough in your arsenal of estate plan in order for that to happen. You also have the option of getting a living revocable trust drafted by an attorney. So this is where you're going to avoid probate. It's going to be private. It's going to be faster and smoother for your family. But the cost is typically between $3,500 to $6,000 or more just to draft your trust. And every time that you have life changes, like a new baby, a new home, or a divorce, you're back at the attorney's office paying $250 to $500 an hour, usually with a 4-hour minimum, just for them to make updates. Here's the biggest issue most people don't talk about: funding. An attorney drafts the documents for you. That's their job. But actually funding the trust, moving your assets into it so that it actually works, that's outside their scope of work. So most people would end up paying for the trust. They will sit down, put it into a drawer, and never fund it. And then their family ends up in probate because they don't know how to do the funding part. Or they seek out a professional like myself in financial planning to be able to help them go through those steps to fund it. So either way, it's extremely important that you know, just because you get attorney drafted documents, you cannot skip the funding step. You also have an option of DIY software. I'm sure you guys are here. You saw the webinar. You guys are doing some research. The DIY software is a low upfront cost. It's usually $200 to $750 for a will. Sometimes the trust packages go up to about $1,000 to $2,000 on the DIY software. You create your own trust online, and it looks good. It sounds great, like you're saving money in the beginning. But here's the problem. You're responsible for doing it correctly. And most of these templates are generic. They are missing the required state and county specific language to actually avoid probate. So even if you fill everything out correct, one missing article or one mistake you make will send your entire estate right back to the court. You have no guidance with funding, and there's no one reviewing your work. So if you need to make an update, you are going to see additional fees, usually on those DIY software, in order to make updates, but it's up to you to make sure that you're doing everything correctly and properly through the whole process. So this is where people think they save money, but it actually costs their family more later on. Then you have option 5, which is kind of the best of both worlds. This is what we do. And it's really going to kind of bring everything together. We provide the attorney drafted revocable living trust. They are built specifically for your county and state regulations. It is not a generic template. It's an actual trust that includes the full documentation needed for it to be a legal document. And here's what makes us different. You get me. You get guided support through the entire process. This is from not only drafting your documents, it's also including the funding steps. I make sure it's done right and that it actually gets funded. And you have my support along the whole process so that your family is protected the way that you're expecting them to be. Our fee is a flat fee. It's $24.95. It includes the unlimited lifetime updates. It also has lifetime consultations. So if you have changes or we want to see how things might be adjusting, you'll get that lifetime updates and consultation. There's no hourly bills, no surprises, nothing along those lines. You will also get a secure online vault. So this is vital. And people move a lot, they lose documents, or family doesn't know where it's at when you pass away. They'll have access to an online vault where your documents are stored securely so that you can access it if you're away from home and on the go and maybe you need those power of attorneys, or your family can access it if something happens to you. Again, no court, no delays. It stays completely private. Your heirs will get a smooth and immediate transfer with no stress, no conflict, and no probate. So I want you to kind of take a look at this chart and think about this one question. Do you want your family dealing with courts and delays and costs? Or do you want everything handled privately, smoothly, and complete the correct way? That's what we're here for today. So let's talk about what your guys' next steps are. All right, guys. So here's your next step. And I want to make this as simple as possible. Everybody's estate is different. There is no cookie cutter plan out there. So tonight we talked a lot about probate and wills and trusts and power of attorneys and protecting your family. But here's what I've learned after working with hundreds of families on estate plans. Most people don't have just one gap. They have several. Some people have the estate planning gap. You don't have any documents in place and you're subject to probate. Other people have retirement gaps and beneficiary problems and tax problems and long-term care concerns. Some of them have all of these issues. That's why we don't believe in handling just one thing and everyone gets the same solution. We believe in helping you understand first where you're at. And that's why we created the YWait Retirement and Estate Readiness Report. This is a report that is designed to help you identify the risks, the gaps, and the opportunities that may exist across your guys' entire estate. Not just a document that you need to keep yourself out of probate, but what's going to actually happen with all of your estates, your retirement, your inheritance that you're leaving behind, everything across the board. So it's not just your trust, it's not just your will, it's your entire plan. So step one for you guys tonight is to complete this 5-minute survey. It's really simple. It's a short survey. It takes me 5 minutes because I know the questions pretty well. It might take you guys a few more minutes to go through the survey, but 5 minutes to kind of get through those questions. We'll ask a few questions about your guys' family situation and what current estate docs you have, in your home, in your assets, and retirement savings, beneficiaries, income sources, legacy, and concerns about probate and taxes and long-term care. There's questions in there specifically designed to help us understand where your gaps are so that we can generate this report specific to you. So then you can understand it in layman's terms where you're at and what you need to do. And it's that simple. It's not complicated paperwork. There's no obligation. It's just enough information for us to understand where you might have those gaps. And then honestly, it's where people tend to see the most surprises because they don't quite understand where they're at, which is okay. That's the whole point of the report. Many families do discover that they're exposed in many areas that they didn't even consider. Estate planning is not just about documents. If you remember in the beginning, it's an entire system. So if you're trying to put together an estate plan and you're getting a trust or will set up and you're not looking at these other components, you don't have a complete estate plan to begin with. So once you complete the survey, I'm going to build the personalized report for you. And this report, it's going to show you areas where you might be exposed to probate, missing documents or outdated estate documents, potential retirement concerns, beneficiary and inheritance risks so that you guys aren't putting huge tax liabilities onto your beneficiaries after your passing. We also go into long-term care concerns so that you understand what happens to your estate if there's a long-term care event, and asset protection concerns and strategies to help your family avoid unnecessary stress and cost. So most importantly, you'll receive a prioritized action plan showing you what issues deserve your attention. Not every problem needs to be solved either, guys. So every family deserves to know where they stand and what to do to move forward. Once you do complete that survey and we generate that report, you'll be able to schedule a complimentary, I always mess that word up, complimentary one-on-one review with me, where I actually walk you through the findings together. So I'll answer your questions, we'll discuss your goals a little bit more in detail, and then we'll create a roadmap of what makes sense for you and your family. This is all complimentary, no cost. So it's no pressure, there's no obligation. The biggest issue is that there's no one size fits all recommendations. So I can't justifiably tell you on the webinar that you guys need to get a trust package with us because we don't know your circumstances well enough. There might be other options that we can come up with for solutions that make sense. And we'll discuss that once we have your report generated. And then there might also be some other needs that you guys have at your estate that you didn't really think about or you were never exposed to. So the goal is to make sure that you guys are aware of all of those components. So the biggest thing is just making sure you guys have the information so that you can make informed decisions before you just start creating paperwork or doing something. So click on the link inside the chat. We did plug it in there. I do see it. So click on the link. It's going to be at ywaitconsulting.com/survey. Like I said, it takes about 5 minutes to complete. It's completely free. And it could uncover a lot of risks that you would otherwise remain hidden until it's too late. So as a part of the process, we'll have the opportunity to sit down and review it together as well. We also do the retirement review, just so you guys are aware of your risks there, because typically estate planning is hand in hand with retirement planning. And if you haven't ever heard of that, we definitely should talk so you can kind of understand what I mean by that. So protecting your family isn't just about having documents. It's about having that complete plan. So before we open up for questions, I want to leave you guys with this one final thought. Tonight really wasn't just about trust. Tonight it's about protecting your family. We talked about probate, we talked about delays and court involvement, family stress, retirement risks, and making sure that the people you love are taken care of when you're no longer here. The reality is that most people know they need a plan, they just keep waiting. And unfortunately, life doesn't always wait for us. We experienced that the worst way with my mom's unexpected passing. So it's why we created the YWait Retirement and Estate Readiness Report. It's a free personalized report that helps you guys identify your potential gaps. So make sure you complete that survey and then book a no-cost one-on-one session with me. Like I said, the report is completely free. There is no obligation to move forward on any services that we can help provide you, but at least you're going to have tangible information to walk away with that hopefully will provide you guys some value in addition to the education that you've learned in today's seminar. So complete that survey. I'll create that report as quickly as possible and get it sent back to you. And then we'll sit down together and do that complimentary one-on-one review. Because you guys' family does deserve a plan, not just good intentions. So keep me posted on how I can help if you're having trouble with that survey. And just remember, why wait? It's never a good time. All right, let's go ahead and open this up for some questions and answers or questions here. Let me go ahead and stop sharing. All right. Can you guys all see me?